Welcome to MSP Unplugged. I'm your host, Paco Lebron. This is the place to learn how to run your MSP, whether you're a nimble MSP or leading a team for the journey. This is the place for you. Let me go ahead and introduce our guest for today. It is Russ Reeder, President and CEO over at XTIUM. Russ, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Paco. How you doing?
I can't complain. Better than good, better than most. It's a nice sunny day here over in Orlando. Great weather, great people, and hoping to have a great conversation here today as well.
Yeah, great. Looking forward to it.
Perfect. So I know your team reached out to me, and we wanted to get you onto the show. You're number 9 on the MSP 501. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
We had shared some of those accolades many years ago and been on several of the Channel Futures lists on these accolades and awards, and it was a great time and great conversating with Eric to hopefully have you come on. You were able to come on. And so, but before we kind of go into all that, I would love to hear your intro and your kind of origin story on how you kind of came to the space and over at XTIUM.
Yeah, that's great. So me personally, I started as a programmer building financial systems 30 years ago. Okay. So then went over to Oracle, worked my way up through sales, and I actually ran application sales for Oracle back in the late 90s, and then did a startup, and we sold that before the crash in Silicon Valley. Okay. Started my company and sold that in 2006, and really started my career as a CEO, kind of going in and helping managed service providers, cloud companies, security companies grow. So I've seen a lot of different companies, a lot of different scenarios, different playbooks, things that work really well and things that don't work well. Okay. And so I've got a lot of experience helping companies scale, and it's fun to share that.
Awesome. Now, obviously, I mean, your accolades and your resume speaks for itself for the amount of things in sales and as an engineer and trying to figure all these things out. Why XTIUM? Why did you kind of come over and choose? Because it's an interview process both ways, right? So for them to look for a CEO, but you had to chose home too. Why them?
So XTIUM started, it was ATSG as well as Evolve IP coming together. Okay. They had an LOI signed, and the private equity Runtide and Morgan Stanley asked me to come in to help raise the money, do the due diligence, and bring the companies together. So we had an amazing opportunity to take 2 large MSPs, bring them together to run almost $250 million of gross sales MSP. Yeah. And so I'm up for a challenge. I love being on the leading edge, even the bleeding edge of technology. And ATSG was a leader in the DaaS offerings for the Gartner Magic Quadrant. They were a leader on managed network services. So they had that name brand recognition. We were able to come in, acquire Evolve IP, merge the 2 companies together, rebrand as XTIUM. And that allowed us to tell a new story. Even some of the old, we grew through acquisition. We had 19 acquisitions over the past 30 years. Okay. So we can talk about that in a minute. But really the opportunity to continue to grow companies that were leaning into technology, implement new platforms, that was really exciting to me.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. Now, you mentioned obviously growth through acquisition, right? And so, for us, merger and acquisitions may not be on the minds for some of our audience, but some may be. I just went through an acquisition myself. We sold a majority stake of our business to a newly formed MSP. I'm now CEO of that MSP, and then we're acquiring MSPs at the same rate. But that change, right? And specifically for the clientele. Can you talk a little bit about like how with the 2 MSPs joining forces, how was that experience thought out? Because I know that, as a human being, change is just terrible. Right. But as a devoted client to a brand, and now having to let them know this new brand is going to be even better and much more efficient. How do you run through that in leadership and communicating that down with your team so they can express that experience for them? How does that process go, at least for you to say, hey, we're a new name here, but we're still going to be standing behind the same qualities that you probably have expected over these years? I'm just curious to your thoughts to that.
Sure. Well, first of all, congratulations on your success.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Really what it comes down to is your mission, your goals, and your purpose to your people and to your clients. And if you understand what your mission is and what your purpose, why do people wake up every morning? Why do your employees wake up? And as a managed service provider, everyone has to understand on the team that your customers bet their careers to make sure that that MSP can deliver to make that company successful. And if the MSP fails, that person may get fired. And this isn't a deliver a solution and leave the office. You become their partner and their technical advisor, trusted advisor. And that responsibility is huge. And so understanding what you do well and do more of that, stay focused. I would stay in a specific industry, if it's healthcare, if it's education, if it's retail, manufacturing, wherever you can really focus so you have a unique competitive advantage versus trying to be all things to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much there that I want to touch on, but I'll touch with the most recent. What you just said is that not being able to adhere to a niche that you have developed and nurtured and try to be something completely different. Authenticity is going to go so much further, right? And especially to a brand identity, let alone the people behind it. I love what you said before, right? Is that the team coming together is a true purpose for that brand to succeed, right? And so for them calling me to be CEO of that company was the way of my leadership. There's transactional leadership, then there's relationship leadership. And there's not enough relationship leadership to allow for what I truly believe is, and I heard this from Russell Brunson, is employee experience is going to drive client experience. And if you can't invest in that and no one's invested into that mission, the clients are going to support are going to just not be able to either A, follow through the brand on what they're trying to do, or B, lose the devotion because they don't see the same love that they provided back, right?
The reason we exist is because you cannot stay ahead of all threats. It's impossible to detect every threat out there before it becomes an issue. So what we do is we block by default. And when you block everything by default, it really doesn't matter if it's known to be bad. If it's not on the list, it cannot run in your environment. And that is our core focus. Zero trust principles, block first, limit what applications can do. And the other stuff, yes, we chase the threats, we hunt the threats, we do everything else, but that's the backup. The core of Threat Locker is zero trust. The team is the real part of it. Cyber heroes, we call them, and they range from everyone from the marketing department right through 24-hour, 365-day-a-year support to our clients, which is less than 30-second response time. We've got some of the most advanced threat intelligence team, advanced development teams in the world, and we're constantly hiring and growing that team. And that's what allows us to deliver the best service.
I always heard this phrase as well, where it says, people may lose faith in people and staff, but they won't lose faith in a brand. And if you can't get that right methodology, it could cause some distinct changes that you're not looking for, right? But you also made a comment earlier. You mentioned about trying to be in leading tech and in bleeding edge of tech as well, right? And, I'd be silly to not mention AI. And this is obviously that big buzzword that every vendor, every other company is throwing in there, and it's usually some type of language model and not truly understanding how they're trying to implement AI for their clients or for their end user. Can you talk a little bit about what you all are doing as the next gen or bleeding edge of some of the things that you've seen and that you're trying to implement for the betterment of not only just the MSP's internal lives, but also the end users as well?
You bet. Yeah. And so I agree with you. It's all about your people. Make your people successful. They'll make the clients successful. And when it comes to AI, I think the real opportunity lies with your listeners, these smaller MSPs, that they can have significant advantage over the larger MSPs because they're more nimble. And taking an open mindset point of view on AI is critical. There'll be, within the next 2 years, there are going to be many winners and many losers, not set up to, based on who can deliver traditional MSP services, but who has the mindset to stay involved and on the bleeding edge of AI. And yes, it doesn't work great today. It hallucinates. It's constantly evolving. But there will be, who knows, the next 2 years, the next 5 years, 10 years, there will be a company that has $1 billion valuation with one employee. Yeah. And there'll be the rule of 100 instead of a rule of 40 on growth and profitability. And that is all going to happen through AI. And so the founders and the executives that get excited about it and continue to stay on the learning edge will continue to rise with the rising tide. The ones that complain that it doesn't work and it's not right and no one's asking for it, they are going to get passed by faster than anyone. And to be a trusted strategic advisor for our clients means that we have to stay out ahead of this. And AI, you need governance and compliance. Everyone needs it immediately in their organization. So they should be working on that. And no matter the size, SMB, mid to enterprise, we can help with that. Every MSP should be helping with that. There is the agentic future, where we actually look to go help clients on the agentic side, and clients weren't ready. So we took all of our energy and pointed them back to focus and build agents internally. So we have AI coaching agents that help our sales reps, that helps our customer support reps. We have a QA agent, that swarms of agents that go in and listen to 100% of our customer service calls and then provides coaching reports. All right, those tier 1 people, the tier 2, they need and want to be coached. But you don't normally have all those resources. We have agents, hydration agents, that review every ticket. We get thousands of tickets every week that come in, reviews the ticket and tries to solve the problem. And then it's not solving automatically, it's not autonomous, but then recommends it to the team. And really what we're seeing is, we have an advantage because we have a large MSP that we can lean into, but working with the clients, people have a false expectation of how easy it can be. It's not easy. It's like implementing an ERP system. It is cross-divisional, and the failures, as you know, MIT just said, came out with their survey that 95% of proof of concepts are failing, and the reason why is because there's a CIO or CTO that's trying to implement this without the business help, or there's a business CMO or COO that's trying to implement it without the CIO and CTO. This is a very large scale. Even though it can be for a point solution, and you want it to be, you don't want to boil the ocean. You need both sides of the organization to understand what success means, and to make sure that you have clean data and that you have a continuous learning process.
I mean, buy-in is such a huge thing with any initiative inside of a internal company, right? And so, and it's amazing you say that. You mentioned 2 years, right? It's going to look very different. I would argue that it's going to be in 18 months, and to the
3
point,
months,
right. And it's funny because, like you said, a lot of people who have that conversation of what's not relevant right now, my clients are not asking for it. They're not asking you. But they're asking somebody, because the amount of advertising, just what Microsoft has done alone on traditional media channels that normal consumers are looking at, and then bringing in those conversations into the workplace is one thing. But the ability of understanding that this is going to happen, right? Like, there's no more of a what if situation. I think 2 years prior, there was this buzzword of machine learning, trying to understand AI is going to be this, and then the adoption of when ChatGPT provided the chat-based AI. Now, in 18 months here, I truly believe there's going to be a displacement in the workforce, as you just mentioned, on the way that the agentic AIs are competing with each other, looking at these things, creating all these different ones. Microsoft now dubbing the title agent boss of managing these agents, right?
That's right.
Where do you see the workforce for, if not small businesses and mid-market businesses, but businesses as a whole, where, obviously the job market right now is pretty rough. But now with businesses trying to survive, they're leaning into AI.
Right.
How do you see the displacement of workforce happening in 18 months? And is your MSP looking to do anything, or any theories, or trying to help with some of those, whether it's education or an opportunity for those to understand, hey, this is where the future is. We probably may want to start leaning more into this as you're speaking to your clients.
Well, the future is today, without a doubt. And what we try to do at XTIUM is make sure that our employees understand they are welcome to use AI to help augment them, but not to use it to do their job for them. Because if you use it to do your job, it will replace you. Right? And so making sure that there's training for our employees. Every company now, every person that has an open mindset will be able to leverage this and continue to scale. For the companies, these MSPs, corporations, and people that are blind to it, that think it's bad and that it's not working today and I am not going to get involved, they will be passed by. So it's those that lean in and those that lean out.
Yeah.
And so there's a tremendous amount of opportunity right now for the people that lean in and have an open mindset and can learn, whether you are a customer support rep, a salesperson, an executive, a manager, at any level. And I talked to my alma mater, James Madison University, about this. Every dean of every school is incorporating how to tie in artificial intelligence know-how into every degree. Everyone needs to learn how to use it to your advantage.
Yeah. No, it's funny because as you just mentioned, right, the way that, I should say funny, but the irony of how much a person, a staff member, employee, someone that is coming into a business can truly change the way they run their career. We're big proponents on AI, and so, I have several staff members. We're 80% women from our MSP, and so some of my staff members who started off as office coordinators, and now one of the ladies have grown in the last 3 years, leveraging Copilot, is now one of the lead service desk analysts that's running circles around some of the others because the others went through traditional ways, whereas what she did, and exactly to your point, she didn't let AI do her job, she let it augment her.
That's right.
And it allowed her to not only augment her abilities, but also educate her as well. And hey, why is this? And now she's not waiting for another person to get back to her. She's not waiting for some solution or got the wrong piece of script or code that she needed for X. Or there's this scenario. How should I handle this? Hey, that sounds probably about right. And I always empower my employees to, hey, if you feel in your own way and in your own body permission to prove something, to communicate something, to explain something, feel free. Break a couple eggs and we'll worry about it later. And so that's where it's allowed them to really grow into their own.
Right.
And so I just wanted to highlight that I truly believe that where no matter where you are in your career, it's amazing that now is in such an important time where if you thought you were going into something, may not be there anymore, but also it has the ability of creating a new opportunity that you didn't even think of to go through there.
I want to take a quick minute to talk about today's sponsor, ScalePad Control Map, the only compliance platform built for MSPs. If you're being asked to lead on compliance but not sure where to start, or stuck in spreadsheets or juggling tools that weren't built for you, you're not alone. Most tools make compliance harder. Control Map was built to simplify, scale, and sell compliance as a service. Automated frameworks like SOC 2, HIPAA, and more, cutting the busy work, and gives you everything you need to go all the way to audit. Turn what used to feel overwhelming into a repeatable revenue-driving service. Most compliance tools create work. Control Map helps you build a business. Learn more at scalepad.com/unplugged.
Has anyone through your team or from what you've noticed at the MSP, have they started to make big shifts like that where non-technical people have now started acquiring technical skill sets? And have you now created different opportunities for staff members where now they can evolve even further, but you're truly seeing true gain as a business because you're implementing those type of changes?
Yeah, without a doubt, we're seeing the employees that use it as an intelligent assistant excel. And like we mentioned, if those employees use it to help them become more successful, and then they review that work product and own that product before it gets sent out to a client or sent out to management, those are the ones that are successful. Yeah. The ones that fail are if they throw it through any kind of foundation model, take the output, don't read the output, and send it out to the customers or to their management.
Yeah.
That's a fail.
Yeah.
And so they might as well be going online, cutting and pasting someone else's work, throwing it in and giving it to someone else. They don't do that today in their real life. Yeah. So why would you do it with AI?
Yeah.
You need to use it as an assistant, and you need to challenge it. You need to have it help make you better, and have conversations with it and ask it to help you ask better questions. And the work product, the output, the quality is increasing and the quantity is increasing.
Now, Yeah, I lost my train of thought because you just that point exactly as you mentioned of how amazing of this change that's happening with just empowering and being able to let them do what they can do and be allowed to. Because I think that there's a lot of companies now that kind of kiboshed it, and some for proper reasons, but others just for the sake of not understanding it. Which is doing a huge disservice to them. Now, for your MSP, are you leveraging like the Microsoft side of the house and leveraging those AIs, or are you building things internally so that you can provide a much more in-depth and stickier ability to help what your client needs are? I'm just curious as to your methodology of implementing AI, because for those that are listening, maybe they've kind of dabbled a little bit, or maybe they want, and maybe they're thinking about providing this as a solution or to augment them. So I'm just curious on what you're doing, and then maybe a suggestion for those that are trying to get into the space. Like, what would your suggestion be for them to kind of dive in?
So we're using all the above, right? So Copilot is a great tool. We're leveraging Copilot. We have some agents that are built on top of Copilot and other foundation models, Grok, ChatGPT. There are point solutions out there. So maybe you don't have the engineers that can build agents, right? Python programmers that can go in there and build the platform needed. Yeah. You can go to point solutions. You could use Lovable. You can use Replit. You can use all of these development tools to help you build agents. Okay. And so there are tools that you can leverage as well, and there's point solutions that you can use. We shied away from the point solutions specifically because the foundation models are moving so quickly. If you go with just a point solution that started up 6 months ago, it could potentially be out of business 6 months from now.
That's true. Yeah, and the amount of investments of these other companies, it's such on a trajectory that is running through, that why would you not go to some of the public entities that are investing billions of dollars into, like literally ChatGPT? I think the last amount of investment was 100 billion, I think it was.
Yeah, that's around there.
And I think the previous to that was 10 billion, and then their initial was 1. And so just the amount of what's being dedicated and having the big pockets to allow for that foundation, right? And it's a great point, right? I think that, even like the old conversations of why should I go public cloud when I can keep it on-prem? Well, there's probably an argument of who's providing better security on one and the investments than
scale.
The other, right?
Yeah.
It's just very interesting to me, to that mindset. But Russ, as we kind of tailor into the end of this episode here, but I think there's a lot of great information. If there's one thing that you can leave with someone striving to be better, be bleeding edge, being able to hit the top 10 of the MSP 501, what would you kind of say to them on, hey, here's some principles that probably make sense to kind of drive into that, and then making their own, forging their own way into the space that they're trying to get to?
Yeah, I'd say the top 3 things. Number 1, focus on their people, right? Share information. Don't hold information as power in the company. Number 2, ruthlessly focus on your customer's success. Deliver on your promise. All things are good when you can deliver on your promise for your client. And then on the technology side, stay on the bleeding edge. You're only 1 month away from being educated on everything that is new in AI. So what tools they can use, how they talk to clients, just stay on that edge to be that trusted strategic advisor, and they will soon be able to be one of the top 10 MSPs out there and continue to scale.
That's awesome. I mean, as we mentioned here, we are no longer in the era where we can just set it and forget it. We're no longer here to say we provide great service. You truly have to be a business advisor to your client, an extension, and have those conversations, or you just will be lost in the conversation, and unfortunately you'll be lost in the conversation for, are we going to keep them as an MSP? But Russ, I really appreciate you coming out here. If anyone wanted to reach out to you or learn a little bit more about you, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Yeah, so they can reach out directly to me at XTIUM, right? So we have off our website, if you have any kind of sales information, it's info@XTIUM, XTIUM, and you can send me an email as well, right? So my email is up there, russ.reader@XTIUM.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, you heard that here. Again, thank you for coming in, and thank you for tuning in. We're here every week. Feel free to head over to youtube.com/MSP Unplugged to catch our video podcast. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and you'll be notified when a new episode is arriving. If you'd like to take us on the go, we're on all your favorite podcatcher app. Head over to MSPUnplugged.com, and you'll see the various apps that we're on: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music, to name a few. I'm here over again in Orlando in the Channel Futures MSP Summit. And thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time on MSP Unplugged.